Hello everybody and welcome to another day. So today I wanted to do a quick video and what this video is going to be about is basically 10 things that you need to know about living in a camper, specifically in the winter time, but I'm going to throw in some other things in there. So the number one thing that I want to talk about living in a camper in the winter time is how cold it is. So it's going to be cold in here. You're going to have to do things in order to mitigate that, whether it be putting skirts on the sides or getting four-season campers. But even four-season campers are still fairly cold. So that's kind of the number one thing. You can do things like put plastic on the windows. They also make some heat shielding, but I don't like that stuff because it blocks out the light, and you're already in a very small, confined space. Doesn't matter how big of a camper you get, it's never going to feel as big as a house. Especially if you get, like, say, a travel trailer. Travel trailers feel a little bit smaller, but the way that you can make it feel bigger is making sure that you have good light. So that is the first thing. The second thing is that whenever you are cold, you have to try to minimize your use of space heaters or make sure that your heat is set high enough that it will run fairly often. And the reason being is a lot of these campers actually use a central heating system to help heat the underbelly of the camper where all of your pipes and everything are. So whenever that heat is running, your propane furnace, you are going to have heat actually going into the underbelly and into the floor of the camper that is going to help keep things from freezing. So you want to make sure that you do run, your space heaters and stuff in order to keep smaller spaces warm. Like, for example, our bathroom and our bedroom doesn't really get as much heat. So we run a small space heater in the bathroom that's just a little one that hangs on the wall. It's a small space, so it'll keep you warm. In our bedroom, we have another small space heater that just kind of helps warm up the space a little bit and take up the slack from where the heat is running. So that was number two. Make sure you run your central heat. You can use your space heaters, but make sure you set your heat higher so that you can actually get the heat rolling through the underbelly of the camper. It'll actually help mitigate the temperature in here a little bit more if you run your heat hotter and run space heaters. I promise you, you won't get hot in a camper. They get cold in the wintertime. No matter what you do, you're always going to have air kind of creeping in a little bit. So number three, you need to get a heated water hose. I'll go through and kind of show you some of the stuff that I'm talking about once I'm done with this section of the video. And I'll tell you kind of where to get things from and what the best stuff to get for the least amount of money is. Heated water hose, you can get one from Camco. Camco ones are usually about 250 bucks. You can get like a 20-foot one off of Amazon rated for -20 for about $100. That's what I have. It hasn't frozen on me, so I recommend using those. There's some things that you can do to kind of help that stay a little bit warmer and make sure that the ends don't freeze, because that's kind of the weak point of those hoses, is the ends where they go into the camper and where they actually go into the external spigot. So number four is going to be your propane. So you would bode well if you were to go and get a larger propane tank. I like the 100-gallon ones, and I'll show you or 100-pound ones, sorry. You can still move them around, but they last a fairly long time. A regular 25-pound bottle in the wintertime with running the heat as well as your water heater and everything is only going to last you about 3 to 4 days. 100-pound bottle will last maybe 2 weeks. So you're going a lot more time in between fill-ups. You can kind of run things a little bit more indiscriminately and not have to worry about it. So moving on from that, and the same thing kind of goes in with propane, but number 5 is I would recommend getting a meter for your propane. The reason to do that, or not even a meter, it's a little gauge that tells you how much propane you have, so you don't have to pick your tank up and shake it. The reason that you should do that is because at night, particularly in the winter, you want your heat to be able to continuously run when it needs to at night, especially at night. You get colder temperatures, usually that's usually when you have your problems, and also when you're away at work. It makes life a lot easier. You can take a quick glance at your little gauge and say, okay, cool, I'm good on propane. I don't need to mess with anything. The other thing that you want to do in the wintertime is, this is number 6, I believe, is you want to take your drain pipe. Don't leave your tanks open in the wintertime. And the reason that I say that is because inside of those, your hose, you'll actually get a slight buildup of ice, and it can clog your hose. And it also helps the tanks from freezing, helps the valves from freezing as badly if you have more water in there in order to keep the tank from completely freezing shut. Now, there is some debate about this. Some people say, oh, no, just leave it open, it'll be fine. I did that, and mine completely froze, and it was a whole nightmare. I've found that it's just better to leave the tanks closed. If it does freeze, run your hot water, fill the tank up with hot water, let it sit for a little while. Make sure you just run your heat continuously, and it'll usually thaw out. A lot of Four Seasons campers do have tank heaters. So the next thing is, like I said, your windows. So your windows are going to leak. You are going to want to put something over your windows if you are not doing the things that I was just talking about, or you're worried about using so much propane. It's almost like what you would use on your car windshield to keep the heat out. I can't specifically remember what it's called, but it's almost like a reflective bubble wrap. You can stick that over your windows and cut it to shape and tape it in place, and it will keep that cold out. Now, on to the next thing. As far as the wintertime goes, underneath your bed, a lot of times will get fairly cold. The reason being is all campers have storage under them, specifically if you have a storage compartment that leads outside. One of the things that you can do to help mitigate this is to actually take a piece of plastic and lay it over that compartment underneath there, or cover the door on the inside, and then take a blanket and just stick it underneath your bed. I know it sounds kind of silly, but it works pretty well. You can also put a space heater underneath there. You can also do a whole host of other things in order to help reflect that heat down or retain the heat that's actually in the room. The next thing, I believe, is number 8. I don't even know. I've lost count at this point, so I'll probably put in the title 10 things to know about being a camper. There'll probably be 9 or 15. Who knows? The next thing is, I always leave all the doors open in the camper. And the reason being is I don't want any one room getting way too cold and worrying about any kind of pipe bursting or freezing in that room. It's probably not going to happen, especially if you have a central heating system. But like my bathroom specifically gets so cold in there because there is no heat in that bathroom. Now, it's probably about 15-20 degrees colder than the rest of the camper, which is usually around 65 to 70 degrees. So I'm not in freezing temperatures, but if you were to get it down into like negative 10 degree temperatures, you may have some problems there. So try to leave your doors open if you can. At night, a lot of people will open their tank up and let their water run. Once again, I'm kind of 50-50 on that, because I have seen the hose actually freeze underneath the camper, but it does help your ends on your hose from freezing. So one of the things that you can do for items that you're afraid are going to freeze is they make a thing called heat tape. It's basically just a roll that plugs in, and it's a heating element inside of a roll. You can wrap the ends of your hose with that, plug it in. They have a little thermostat on the end of it it's called thermostat, that senses the temperature outside and will actually kick that hose on for you automatically. So that's definitely a good thing to have. The last thing that I want to talk about is flushing your black water tank, specifically in the winter time, because if that toilet paper freezes inside that tank, you are going to have a terrible, terrible time. So I flush my black water tank about every time that I actually empty it. It's so simple. Just run your hose over to the other side and flush that puppy out, because you do not want that toilet paper freezing in there, getting stuck on anything, clogging a pipe or anything like that. If you can keep that tank flushed out and keep the toilet paper and the solids out of that tank as much as possible, and I mean, honestly, this goes for the summertime too, because you don't want toilet paper sitting in there too long either, but in the wintertime, whenever that stuff gets hard, it's an absolute nightmare. I don't know what toilet paper is made out of, but it turns into concrete. So, those were just a couple of things. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's kind of a little break from the norm. I don't really like to sit down and just talk to the camera. Once again, I'll walk outside real quick and show you some of the stuff I was talking about, and then we'll end off the video. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Okay, just real quick, I'll show you this hose. So here is a heated water hose. There's the thermostat. It senses the temperature of the hose, and then it will kick this on automatically as needed. There's my black water tank and gray water tank drainage for the sewer. You see mine isn't wrapped because I don't leave my tanks open whenever it's too cold. Right now, gray water tanks are open because it's 55 degrees outside. I don't have to worry about it. This is what I was talking about, heat tape. Okay, this stuff here, there's the thermostat for it, wrapped around there with a little bit of heat shielding or insulation. This is the stuff I was talking about putting on your inside of your windows. That stuff is amazing. It insulates extremely well. So those are a couple of the big things there. Let's walk up here. This is the propane tank I was talking about. I bought that one full for $290. They're usually anywhere between $500 and $800. I've got my reserve tanks in here. They're all completely full. So let's go back inside. I'll show you what I use for space heaters. Okay, so in the kitchen or living room, whatever, it's kind of a combination deal here. We have an electronic fireplace. There's the little Obi Man. What's up, Bubba? We have an electronic fireplace. I keep this thing set to low so it doesn't heat it up too much in here, so that my actual heat can get going and warm it up. We have 2 floor vents in the main area here. It actually blows out underneath this cabinet here where all of my water lines kind of converge, which is pretty nice. There's also a channel that goes underneath all the way into this bathroom, so it actually keeps it fairly warm underneath here, but the rest of the bathroom gets pretty cold. Back here is Munchin's room. There's another air vent back there. Back here in our room, this is the small space heater we use for back here. Once again, it's literally just to kind of make it a little bit warmer in here. And it works really, really well. That air kind of gets up over into here and it just stays. So this room stays fairly warm with this electric heater. You don't have to go crazy. Don't go buy you some big giant thing and then put it in here thinking that that's going to, you know, be your best bet. It's going to get too hot. And if you heat it up too much, then your heat won't run, and then you're going to get frozen pipes, and then you're going to be big sad. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Make sure to like and subscribe.